Hello, everyone. Hopefully, my mic is working. Let me check, make sure my correct mic is set up. Hello, Ender. Got some people in chat. Hello, everyone. We got Ender, Thor, Jack, Shimpasta, Elsar, Griff resubscribed for 6 months or has subscribed for 6 months in a row. That's awesome. We got Nomad. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Um, so kind of just waiting for 318 to drop. It might drop while I'm streaming. It might not. If it doesn't, that's okay. Then we're just going to hang out and chat for a bit. I know SCL just went live, but I typically like to watch that after the fact, just so I can kind of fast forward to a lot of the fluff that seems to be talked about on those shows. So I'll probably watch that later. I was going to talk a little bit about ISC, maybe bring up my fleet, just stuff to talk about as we're waiting for 318. And this is extremely rare. I have the house to myself right now, so that's why I'm streaming at this very odd time of day. Normally, I can't do this because my wife is working in just like the next office here in my house. So and she pretty much runs our company, so can't be disturbing her with game streaming. But that being said, I figured I'd stream for a little bit. It's so funny because, of course, 318 is dropping today, most likely, and tonight is the night that I have date night with the wife. Every time Star Citizen does a major release or any sort of event, whether it's Invictus or what have you, I always seem to be not available to play the game. So that sounds about right. We're tracking really good with 318's release today. I will not be playing it tonight, which is probably good because it's probably going to be an absolute shit show if I had to guess. They're already talking. This is probably going to be one of the buggier patches released, and I can only imagine. And people have been starved for content for a while, so I can only imagine today is going to be an absolute shit show in the servers. So that being said, I probably wouldn't have played it much tonight anyway. I've been having a lot of fun with Ender and Sons of the Forest. And we always like playing Phasmo and golf and stuff, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of those games because they're just low impact. um, but actually, Sons of the Forest has been amazing. I've been really enjoying that, and I still have Hogwarts Legacy and stuff. So plenty of stuff to play while the servers are kind of a mess. So that being said, did any of you watch? Did any of you watch the ISC from yesterday, the Inside Star Citizen? Um, I'll go ahead and say it was probably the best one they've had in, I would say, at least a year. Um, Probably in terms of just like anticipated feature, and just hard, like sturdy, hard information. Like where they were talking about, okay, engineering is going to be like this, and it's going to have these roles, and these roles are going to affect these things, and these things are going to do this for you. I just thought it was well laid out. I know they kind of got some visuals thrown together, um, just to kind of give it some sort of visual aid. But honestly, it could have been just that developer talking, and I still would have thought it was one of the best ISCs in a long time. And we really kind of needed that because I've been really disappointed in a lot of the ISCs lately. So it was nice to see one that was just like, full of good information, all that kind of good stuff. Engineering gameplay is one of the roles that I'm most looking forward to. To the point where I would even say that like flying ships is fine. It's fun, but I've flown ships and aircraft in lots of games. Whether it's Arma 3 or I played Eve Online for a while and stuff like that, and it's all well and good. But the one thing we've never had in a game is a proper hands-on engineering gameplay loop, that wasn't like done through just like screens. And it looks like that's what they're propping up for us. And the fact that you know they really pressed that it was like, not going to be long before we see this come into game. Um and by that I mean it's going to be in the 4.0 patch cycle, I think. It was part of the road to 4.0 bit of content. And um, I would expect it. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't drop in 4.0, but sometime in the 4.0 patch cycle, I could see it dropping. They've talked about how it's directly tied to resource management, and that makes sense actually. With the resource management on in development, and I think it's currently spec to go to September, which is just the end of the roadmap, so it could go longer. I imagine it will. Um, One of the things about that is when I saw them developing the resource management stuff, you know, and they were developing the relay system, the power relay system, and all that kind of stuff. We've heard a lot of talk about fire extinguishers and fire propagation, all this stuff, and it got me to thinking. I'm like, man, they're doing all this work into the system, but do we have? Is there any work going on to the actual gameplay loop that will tie into that system so that we can manipulate those knobs and dials? So again, it's good to see that that's being developed in parallel with it. Real quick in chat, Alpha says, Star Jump, why don't, see, why are you not doing anime movies using Star Citizen? Yeah, that would be cool if I could illustrate it all. I don't know if CIG would have anything to say about that, but if I could illustrate, I would. We played around one time with this idea where it was going to be this animated series where we were going to render all the 3D like cell shaded like a cartoon, and we were going to have like animated characters in it. It was a really stupid idea we had for a while. We might dig that back up to the out of the closet. It's been talked about quite a few times actually. So, hey, VMXEO's in chat. VM, hope you're well. Hope you're well. Obviously, we're waiting on 318 to drop. Once it does go live, you can expect an update to Fleet Viewer. We're going to put in two new things. One is going to be the Scorpius Antares, and the other one will be a really cool Idris hanger cutaway thing that I worked on that I think everyone will really like. So, but yes, to answer your question, we do have to pause on the engineering talk for a minute. We do have a lot of content planned. We're going to do Star Jump Station this Sunday. Next Sunday, we'll have a new episode of Fleet Builders, which I really think this latest engineering ISC will tie into a little bit. We have our new show, Shipyard, which Jock Kopp just said was really good. Really appreciate that, Jock. Yes, I can't talk about the next ship we're going to do. We're going to be doing the Endeavor next. You may be asking why the Endeavor. That is primarily because we're primarily waiting or primarily doing the Endeavor because we already have a lot of assets created for it, so we can kind of get the episode going a little bit faster. And then after the Endeavor, it quite possibly will be either the I'm thinking of either doing the Crucible or doing a RSI ship analysis, which would focus on the Polaris, the Perseus, and the Galaxy, kind of looking at all three of them in a kind of a unique way. So there's that, and then there's another episode I want to do on the shipyard, which is specifically addressing capital ships and the engineering gameplay loop. So that's another one I want to do. Another one I'm planning is the Genesis Starliner. That one is going to require some extra work on my part because the Genesis has no interior, has never had an interior, much like a lot of these concept ships. But I'm going to build out an interior for it specifically for this discussion. So, and I might be partnering up with some other modelers to make that a reality. But yes, Endeavor will be the next episode, working on the pre-production of that now, and then Crucible most likely will be after that. So, anyways, going back to the engineering gameplay, again, I just loved everything I saw in regards to it. The different roles of tuner, mechanic, and manager. I think that when you look at that, especially on large to capital ships, it's really going to change it's really going to change kind of the crew outlooks for some of those ships, especially take ships like the Kraken. With the Kraken having such a long hull that someone would have to run back and forth. I could easily see you having two tuners or maybe one tuner, but two mechanics. And maybe some of those people are stationed in the front of the ship, some of them towards the rear, because we do know that with certain ships, some of those components will be spread out. The Kraken, for example, if you watched our latest episode of Shipyard, the Kraken has shield generators up near the front of the ship, while the bulk of engineering is in the rear. So, um, but yeah, just really excited for it. I mean, I think the only weird thing I saw that I was kind of like, that's odd, is the whole idea like if a component needs warmed up, you're using a flamethrower on it, but if you need it cooled down, you're like, shooting like an ice thrower at it. So I think there's better ways to do that. I think for the warming up thing, what would be cool is if they had some sort of small carryable box, maybe that's some sort of like generator, some sort of APU, that you can hook up to a component, and then that will be what actually warms the component. I mean, a lot of the visuals they showed in that ISC were, just created for fun. So it's not really indicative of what the process will be. But they actually kind of mentioned, like, oh, you'll hit it with a flamethrower. Obviously, I think that's a bit tongue in cheek. I think ultimately it'll be something a little bit more grounded. I can't imagine firing flamethrowers in like the cargo bay of the ship is a really smart thing to do. Ace says, I think the tuner will be the grunt once the ship takes off. Most of their key work is set up before departure. Yeah, exactly, Ace. And that kind of goes into another aspect of discussion, which is pre-flight setup on ships. We know personal hangars are coming. I would love more information, though, not on just personal hangars, but or personal hangars, but how we're going to be able to invite our friends to those, to start bringing supplies, and to do that tuner work on components, all that stuff in the hangar together as a group that you then load up in the ship, you take off, etc. So I would love to get a little bit more info on that from CIG as well. I do know personal hangars are on, or persistent hangars. Personal hangars are on the roadmap, currently being worked on, I believe. So, yeah, so maybe we'll see that soon. I'm going to flip over real quick to let's see, stand by. Going to flip over to my fleet. I did make some changes to my fleet the other day, and this is where I'm currently sitting. I have 0 store credit left. I'm really maxed out on money I'm willing to put into the game. This is kind of the end of it for me. So if any new ship comes along that I'm interested in, I will need to melt one of these ships to get that ship. There are ships in here that are outliers that possibly will get melted at some point in the future that I'm not exactly married to. Some of those being the Merchantman. It's not one that I'm totally interested in having in the long run. Kraken, thanks so much for that follow. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Kraken will stay, obviously. That's my baby. It's my favorite ship in the game from a design and role standpoint. But the Merchantman is one that could possibly go in the future, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Von Cody, no mention on the Scorpius Antares price right now, but I would say that it would be slightly more expensive than the Scorpius if I had to guess. The Carrack is possibly a ship that I would lose in the future, but it would depend quite a bit on some stuff regarding the Nautilus and some stuff regarding the Polaris. If depending on how these two ships come out in development, it may encourage me to lose the Carrack, and some of that is regarding. Thanks, Kraken. Appreciate it. Yeah, you should definitely follow me then on all my channels, because I do a lot of stuff on the Kraken all the time. If you haven't been over to the YouTube channel, you should definitely go check that out. We just put out a new episode, our first episode of our, my new show, called Star Jump Shipyard. The first episode I did all myself, but going forward, Ender's going to help me out. But my first episode of Shipyard was all about the Kraken. So I dive deep into it. You should go watch it if you haven't seen it. So go give that a look. But the Carrack is definitely one that could be lost again if other ships fill that gap a little bit. The Hull C, I'm looking at that as being my primary cargo hauler or heavy cargo hauler. I don't particularly love the Hull ships from a design standpoint. I would prefer, I think, the cargo to be internal. However, I actually think for large cargo hauling needs, the external cargo aspect of the Hull C is going to be a really convenient thing. So, I'm it's got pluses and minuses. From a design standpoint, it's not my favorite, but I do like the fact that it's going to be easy to load, and it's going to be a way for me to make some real money in the verse by doing some loading. I do want to point out that there is something wrong with this model. I only realized recently. However, I'm not going to try to fix it because I think the Hull C will be in game before too long, and we can just render out its proper model. But this back bit of shielding right here, I would say from this colored area here back, is not supposed to be there. That's supposed to slide back here so that the front cab area is actually a little shorter and tucked a little bit more closer to the cargo. But anyways, Hull C, I do think will be my large cargo hauler, and one that I'll use a lot once those heavy cargo missions come in the game. The C2, it's more because I don't really particularly know why I have this ship. I think it's because I really do love the design of the C2. I think it's actually, I would probably go so far as to say Crusader's best looking ship, and it's something that I personally wish they would have pulled into their other series of ships. And what I'm referring to specifically is these really smooth lines that feel strong, but are, again, smooth and contoured. So it does feel different than Origin to me, where Origin is like smooth and contoured, but like very rounded and elegant. I feel like the C2 Hercules is very rounded, but almost like leans into the wind a little bit. And I would have loved if they would have carried that over a little bit more into the Star Runner and especially the Spirits. And again, the C2 just has all that internal cargo. It's great for vehicles. I think it's going to be a great utility ship in the future. So it was a natural to have. And I really like the ship. VMXEO says, I think those smooth lines work better on bigger ships than they do onto the smaller ships design. Yeah, you may be right. Again, I would love to see what the Spirit would have looked like had it had like the front nose like that. That could be a really interesting design language, I think. Von Cody says the only reason I have a Hercules right now is it's a loaner for the Liberator. Yep. But anyways, I do think the Hercules looks like a more refined design than the rest of the Crusader ships, and I personally hope that the Genesis, when they do a redesign of it, I hope the Genesis leans into the C2 or the Hercules line of ships from a design language standpoint. I think the funny thing is I think the C2 just looks like a stronger ship than like the Star Runner and the Spirit and stuff with all the overlaying panels. It's not that these are bad designs. I just think that the C2 looks like a much more refined and like high-tech kind of type aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like the panels are fitting together cleaner. I think that I think the actual smooth contours of it give it a stronger appearance, almost like it was over engineered versus the other Crusader ships, which seemed like they were kind of like parts and pieces put together. Again, all this is subjective, but I do think the Hercules is probably the superior design for Crusader ships, and I hope that we see the Genesis lean into that a lot. I've actually done some of my own designs on the Genesis by kit bashing, where I've taken parts of the Hercules and tried to build a Genesis out of it, and it looks really cool. So I hope they go that route. Wolf, do I think they'll do any sort of drop pod for infantry drops, sort of like ODST and Halo? I don't know. It's possible, but they really have never talked about that very much. And however, what they have talked about are things like parachutes and jetpacks and stuff. That has been talked about. As a matter of fact, Clark Defense, which is one of the in-game defense brands, the Clark Defense is the one that builds the Titan suits, for example. They also make jetpacks. They're known for making jetpacks. So there's some stuff we could see in there. I think it would be really cool for people to be able to dive out of the back of a Hercules and fire their jetpacks and fly to the surface. That would be really cool. I have the Star Runner. I think the Star Runner is a great ship, one of the best ships in the game in terms of like what you're getting for your money. And I got the Star Runner really cheap, so I kind of don't want to melt it for that reason. But it doesn't particularly hold any sort of special place in my heart. I could lose it because I do have the Corsair, which kind of plays that role for me. But I do like the Star Runner. What I would like for the Star Runner is I would love for the Star Runner to have a variant that is not a data runner, but more of a general purpose ship, with maybe the data room, the server room, being converted to a room that has even just like maybe something like a tier, what is it, like a tier 3 med bed, whatever the lower one, just to have a little bit more general purpose utility to it. I think would be really nice if you could switch out the data room in this to have sort of like a tier 3 med bed. I would even I know that's the lowest one, I believe, but that would make this ship so much more attractive to me. Yeah, or a bar or anything else. I really think that the Star Runner deserves to be a modular ship that can have things switched out. It's such a cool ship, so to limit it just to data running, I think is a little unfortunate. Although I think CIG really does refer to it as a general purpose ship in terms of hauling cargo and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, Ender. I think any of those changes would suit the Star Runner really well, especially for a variant. I think it'd be really cool. I got the spirits. I got the pack. I'm most interested in the E1 for the VIP level traveling. Not for any like particular gameplay loops, because who knows where that will end up, but primarily for RP purposes. I think the Spirit E1 could be really cool. I could totally see myself running private VIP travel on the side as like a little side gig, but like frame it all with RP. I think Ender and chat would probably be interested in doing the same. So C1. So the C1, depending on how it turns out, could be just an extra daily driver ship to kind of go along with my Cutlass Black. I don't think it would be a direct replacement for the Cutlass for me, but I think that the Spirit C1 is just sort of an easy grab, and I could see having two small daily drivers as being kind of a smart thing in the verse. I don't have a bombing ship, so the A1 seemed like a nice to have. I definitely didn't want to spend the money for an A2, so the A1 seems like a good middle ground. So the Spirit pack just felt smart to me to get, especially for the price. I thought it was a good deal for what you were getting. Next, as everyone knows, I'm a huge Drake fan, so of course I have the Corsair. The Corsair was one of the first large ships, if you want to call it large. I don't think it's large. Is it large or medium? I think it's actually considered a large ship, over 50 meters. So it was really the first large ship that I pledged for. Had no idea when it was ever coming out. I'm glad it is. I would call it my daily driver with purpose. It is my daily driver, but it's not the one I bring out the most out of the daily drivers. It's the one that I drag out when I'm specifically doing something like I need to carry a vehicle, or maybe a friend or two's coming with me. So, Vulture, obviously easy grab. I've had the most fun with this ship than I have probably any ship just in the 318 PTU. I think the ship is laser focused in its purpose of scraping hulls, but of course we also have the munching gears in the front and all that. So once things like um, you know hull munching and siphoning and all that, this ship is just going to get more and more useful. I think, if this is obviously the prospector to salvage, so it was an easy get for me. Mining's not really my thing. I actually do like mining. I think it's a really cool gameplay loop. I'm just kind of terrible at it, to be totally honest with you. So salvage fits a lot more. Fits better into my gameplay style. So the vulture was an easy purchase. Plus it's Drake. So yeah, all day long. Yeah, I think we will stop and sniff. I'm hoping we get some cool paints for the vulture. I know I bought a few paints for it. I don't know if they'll have any additional ones to add. That'd be cool if they did. I'd love one that's the reverse. That's a black with yellow accents. That's what they need to make. That's what they need to make. Ares Inferno. Ender will know that I pledged for this ship a long time ago. I was very interested in it. Still very interested in it. I see this as the ship that I will have parked at my player outpost. So wherever my player outpost is, I can see having this ship parked there. That way, if a ground attack comes to my outpost or if fighters start harassing me, this will be one of the ships I deploy to hopefully handle the situation, possibly in conjunction with other ships that do other things, with Ender or VMXEO or friends that are at the outpost. But this is what I kind of see as my close air support ship for the outpost. So next, Argo SRV. This is the only Argo ship I have ever purchased. I do own MPVV from a giveaway or something like that. But the SRV is primarily, I hate to say it, I purchased it specifically for my Kraken. I don't know if it's going to be needed, but I could easily see the SRV out of all ships. Well, actually, SRV and the Mule. Those are two ships I can kind of always see being parked on my Kraken. They'll always have a place there. So if I go to spawn my Kraken, I'll probably always spawn it with the SRV on the deck. Just as a great utility ship, like, any aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy, there's tug vehicles on there. There's, always, a helicopter, assigned to it and stuff. This is sort of the same thing. It's just kind of always assigned to my Kraken. Yeah. If a ship breaks down or explodes on the deck of the Kraken and is blocking, a landing spot, I'm going to need the SRV to yank it off. So. Drake Cutter, I just got it because it was so small and awesome looking. I think it looks really cool. Looks like something out of Aliens to me. And again, another ship to fit perfectly on an extra small pad and the internal hangar bay of the Kraken. So it seemed like a natural fit. Either one of these ships would probably also act as my escape pod if they don't put escape pods on the Kraken, which I actually think they will put escape pods on the Kraken. So, Cutlass Black, this is my starter pack ship. I think this is still probably the best general purpose small ship in the game, hands down. It's not. I wouldn't say it's. It's a little bit subjective now, as certain other ships have come out, and especially with the spirits coming out and stuff, freelancers and all that. I mean, it is subjective, but to me, the Cutlass Black is just a very focused general purpose ship. It doesn't have a lot of frills, but I kind of don't want it to, and I enjoy flying it. It's easy to fly. I love it. I don't think I'll ever melt it. So I had an arrow and I melted it. And then I re-got my arrow when Ender was flying his a lot, and then I melted it again, and then recently repurchased the arrow, as in just a couple days ago. So pulled it out of buybacks with the last of the store credit I had. I think I had like 70 in store credit, so it only required like 5 more bucks or something for me to get it to get it, purchased outright. So got the Arrow. I had the C8X Pisces because it comes with the Carrack Expedition. Nice little bonus actually, and probably one of the reasons that I would also really not want to melt the Carrack, because it does come with both the C8X and the Ursa Rover. Two, I mean, when you think about it, you're getting, what is that, like $120? Is that $120 value in small ships just with the Expedition alone? Sayadar Pisces, again, this is another ship that I could easily be, see being tasked to the Carrack, or sorry, to the Kraken and the Carrack. So it was just an easy purchase. I actually really like the C8X as well, the C8 series of ships. So it was a very confident buy. Like, I didn't worry about it, being something I liked or not. I think the C8X out of the small ships, the extra small ships, is the best for sure. Really enjoy that ship, and I love that you can spawn it at the Platinum Bay pads that are on the planetary surfaces. Dragonfly, always good to have those when you own a Kraken. I got this one from a referral bonus, one of the only referral bonuses I've ever got. No one ever uses my code, so it's all good, but that's the only time I think I've ever got anything out of it. Ursa Rover comes with Carrack, as I explained earlier. I also bought a Steve. I don't really know why. I could see this being melted for a PTV, and then the PTV being something. I know they're redesigning the PTV, but I could see it being melted for the PTV just so I can use the PTV on the little racetracks at Orison and stuff. I bought 2 Drake Mules. Why did I buy 2? I could just see it being a really good utility vehicle. Plus, they were good LTI tokens, but I could see one being parked at my planetary outpost, and I could see the other one being tasked to the Kraken at all times. The one that's at the planetary outpost, I could see just always being at the planetary outpost. And then I have the Hover Quad, which is Ender's favorite ship in the game. I'm sure he's told you that many times. Hover Quad is, I don't know why I have it. I really don't. I think it may have been LTI token, actually. Yeah. I may have skipped over the Pioneer actually and Kraken. Obviously, the Kraken is my big marquee ship. That one really was. I'm big into planetary outposts gameplay. I really want that to come online. I'm excited for that. Obviously, I own a Pioneer, but in lieu of that, being able to have an outpost wherever you want. I think that's what the Kraken is. I mean, you could just land the Kraken anywhere on a planetary surface, moon surface, whatever, and you have an outpost. You have a really big outpost with internal storage, landing bays, medical suite, all that stuff that the Kraken brings along, as well as its own planetary defense. Because outposts, you're going to have to install turrets and anti-air turrets and all that. The Kraken will come equipped with all that. So the Kraken, in my opinion, is a large mobile planetary outpost you can set down anywhere, including orbit. The only downside to that is the Kraken is a very valuable asset to place and act as just a planetary outpost. So, if it comes under attack, it's not just like an outpost module gets destroyed and you got to rebuild it. It's your ship, so you do need to protect it. Von Cody says, how many dragonflies are supposed to fit in the Kraken's Dragonfly Bay? In the concept art, it's shown as 4. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I think it's 8 in the concept art. It might be 8 dragonflies. Can't totally remember. It's a lot. It's a lot. I think there's plenty of room to fit 8, but I can't remember if that concept art showed 4 or 8 in there. But even if it showed 8, I could see that coming down a little bit. Not because it can't fit them, but because it needs to be able to fit them and have enough space for AI, have enough space for you to get in the Dragonfly, hover it off the deck a little bit, maneuver it, get it on the elevator lift that then lifts it up out of the Kraken. So somewhere between 4 and 8, probably. Have the Banu Merchantman. I got the ship really dirt cheap through Starlet. Starlet helped me acquire this one. And I guess the only reason I haven't melted it is because I have it for so cheap that I feel at this point melting it, I'm actually losing money. So I'm just going to leave it in the hangar for now. And if something comes along that's just too good to pass and I need to liquidate, then the merchantman will be that ship. That's okay. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna like lose any sleep over it. I will say I love the look of the merchantman. I think it's a really cool looking ship. And oh boy, we got 54 watching in YouTube, and we got let's see, 14 in Twitch. That's awesome. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We're just discussing ships as we wait for 318. If it happens to drop, it may not drop. But the merchantman is something that me and Ender have had a lot of chats about the merchantman. It's a really cool ship, really cool design. But at the same time, if you're playing the game from a role play perspective, if it doesn't fit your role play, which it doesn't really fit mine, then it may not be the best ship to hang on to. Oh, Bingo's in chat. Bingo, salute to you, sir. We're all thinking about you over here, man. Without going into all your business, I just want to let you know that I am definitely thinking about you and your family at this time. I hope everything's okay, and hopefully my rantings today can be some sort of distraction for a bit. But definitely thinking about you, bud. Bingo, obviously, real good Star Jump community member, always there to support us and stuff. So we really appreciate him. Gray Fox says, would it be cool if you had like a hover cart for the Dragonfly so you could carry like one SCU? Yeah, it could be cool. Doesn't the Dragonfly have the ability to carry a box or two? I can't remember. I may be wrong. It's been so long since I've got on the Spectrum is. Yeah, Spectrum has been down. It was down for me earlier, and just said it wouldn't load. I imagine they're working on getting things ready for 318's release. If I had to guess, they're trying to get Spectrum ready for bug reports and announcements and all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Gray Fox says, will you start an organization for your fan base? Yes, Gray Fox. We actually do have a Star Jump org now. You can submit an application on Spectrum. It's been a while since we've done any application sorting, but I'll get in there and do that. I'll go ahead and speak a little bit on the org. Right now, the org is really just a place for our community and fans to call home. And it looks like Ender does regularly sort apps. It's been a while since I went in there and done it, but the org is something really just as a temporary placeholder for our fans at the moment, Gray Fox. However, we do have big plans for it, primarily once better org tools come into play. But the idea for the Star Jump org is it is going to be a militia-focused org. The reason we did that is because we want to give members of the org the most flexibility in terms of what they do within it. What I mean by that is it's not strictly an industrial org where you can't do any combat or anything like that. Gray Fox, the name of the org, Star Jump. It's just Star Jump, all one word. But it's going to be a militia org, and its focus primarily is, and the way I want is to keep itself sustained, through operations, whether it's combat or industrial, commercial, all that stuff. But its other goal will be to specifically be hireable. Hold on one second, everybody. Okay. But it specifically will be able to, we want it to reach out to smaller orgs, because we imagine we'll eventually get a pretty big org just because of our community. But we want to allow Star Jump, the org, to be tapped by smaller orgs and hired for various services. So if a smaller org doesn't have pioneers in its, and when I say smaller orgs, I'm talking orgs that, maybe are only 3 or 4 or 5 people big, they don't have pioneers and Polarises and stuff like that. We want them to be able to hire us. So let's say if they go, hey, we really want our little group org or our little group outpost to be on some moon, but we don't have a pioneer. We also don't have protection. We've been harassed a little bit. Then we'll pull the appropriate department heads in the org together, and we'll send our base building group out to help them get their base built for a fee, obviously. We'll send our protection element out to set up protection for the building of said base. So, maybe some fighter squadrons, maybe someone goes out in the Nautilus, starts setting minefields in orbit above the base, just stuff like that. Again, it's going to be to help out the little guy. I think that's where me and Ender kind of landed with Star Jump, at least the last time we talked. Ender may have additional ideas on it. I have a few ideas I want to go over with him about it, but in a sense, that's what the Star Jump org is going to be all about. So, last but not least, since we're talking about Outpost, well, actually, not last, Pioneer. I cannot wait for base building. I love base building in any game. Me and Ender right now are playing a lot of Sons of the Forest, which if you haven't played, you should really go check that game out. It is real damn good. But we like to play Scum. I used to build a lot of missions in Arma 3, which was essentially a lot of base building. I love building bases. I love construction. I love going out to a place that's not supposed to be survivable, building an outpost, and attempting to survive. I really love survival, the whole genre. So the Pioneer just fit perfectly for that. Oh, there's Starlet. Starlet, salute to you. Hope you're well, dear. What is your RP style that the BMM does not fit? Maybe you can CC it into something else that gets announced in the future. That's what I'm thinking, Starlet. So my RP style is essentially going to be a character he's former UEE military. He's very Terran-centric, human-centric. So for him to be like flying an alien ship, especially an alien bazaar, just really doesn't fit his character profile very well. If anything, I would say that if I was going to go into the merchant gameplay, it would definitely be the privateer that fits his style more. But I want him to be very like an industrious person. So one ship I could really see Starlet switching the merchantman out is if they announce any sort of manufacturing ship. We know that they talked a little bit about or that leaked out a little bit about possibly some Argo manufacturing ship. But primarily in the verse, what I'm going to be doing is commercial trading, salvage, and like if I do any combat, it's going to primarily be standoff type attacks, and that's exactly why I rock the Polaris and the Nautilus, because if I'm going to get into any combat, I like the defensive and or advanced kind of gameplay that the Nautilus provides, in terms of you kind of go out first and either set minefields or you work from a defensive standpoint. And I like the Polaris in terms of it's really a ship that comes in quick, fires off its torps, and gets the hell out of Dodge. So Starla says, be sure to grab a BMM to Polaris this Invictus, as the price of the BMM could keep going up. Great advice. Starlet knows the game better than anyone, probably. Absolutely. That's good advice. I should probably do that, Starlet. Yeah. Culpepper says, since they want all hands on deck after the drop, and it's not going to be in the morning, I have a feeling it'll be pushed to Monday. It might, Culpepper. It's one of those things. It's like 318 is the patch that I am not in a hurry for. I know that everyone's wanting it. I've had a lot of fun with it. Actually, see, before 318 PTU, I hadn't played Star Citizen in like 6 months. So it had been a long time. I wasn't interested in playing it. But 318 really brought me back in. There's some really cool stuff in it. So I want them to get 318 right. I already know it's going to be an absolute shit show when they release it. You're bringing in this persistent tech. People are also going to push that persistency to like its limits, and people are going to put 9,000 boxes on the surface. It's going to be a mess. So I'm fine with it rolling out when it rolls out. It'll get broken several times. They did say the 318.1 patch will be very soon after, because I'm sure that one's already in development internally. Captain Kern, hope you're well. Paula says, hey, Grim, isn't the Anvil Crucible Flying Toolbox a part of your fleet? You dislike it or not functional? So it's not part of my fleet. It was at one time. I actually do own a CCU to it. It's probably a ship I should look at. However, I want to see its redesign first. I think that ship, out of all ships, will probably get one of the biggest redesigns CIG's ever done. It will probably be the Crucible. Primarily because its metrics don't work anymore. That's the first one. But it also doesn't fit the Anvil design language at all. So I can see them redoing that ship pretty heavily. I actually think that ship's going to get a bigger redesign than like the Endeavor. Yeah, so that's my thought on that one. I could see adding the Crucible to my fleet. To be totally honest with you, the BMM is something that probably should turn into a Crucible. That's a good question though, Apollo. I need to kind of look at my Crucible standing. But again, I'm done with new money going into the game. As I said earlier, I'm not putting any more money into the game. I am tapped out on money. And any new ship I acquire would need to be through melting one of these ships. It's all going to be through credit at this point, unless the only way I would put more money into the project, and I've said this a lot on chats, is specifically if CIG got something into the game that I felt was a big enough technological milestone and achievement that I went, you deserve more money. You know, I'm not someone that wants to just constantly reward them. They do have to earn that a little bit from me, and they earn that through personal milestones. And everyone's going to have different personal milestones because we all have different budgets we play with. We all have different things that are important to us in the game. You know, I didn't even pledge for Star Citizen technically until 3.8 persistence was in, because they put a level of persistence in for 3.8. I waited for that. PES was a big one. I put in a little extra money when I saw 318 was working and found that I was having a good time with it. I did put in a little extra money. I was able to pull my spirits out and lock my Pioneer down. But to be honest with you, there probably won't be any new money that goes into the game until static server meshing is in the game. That is something I need to see them get in. I will say this. I want to speak on this for a minute. When it comes to server meshing and what everyone's idea of server meshing will be, and I don't mean how server meshing works, but I think what I'm talking to is like what they expect from server meshing, right? Some people are wanting thousands and thousands of players in one area. Some people are wanting thousands of players in that particular system. Some are going to be happy with 500 players, or some people aren't even concerned about the player limits. They're concerned about getting a performance up boost in the game. Some people are, everyone has something different that they sort of care about with server meshing. For me personally, I really just want Star Citizen to get to a place where they can have about 500 people on a shard. Or in my general area, meaning in the system that I'm in. I would say 500 would be the absolute max that I would need there. And a lot of this goes back to that video that came out a while back of the 100-player battle that took place. That was absolute chaos. There was UI elements going off, explosions, 18 missiles flying at you. It was nuts. I can't imagine being in a battle that has more than 100, 150, 200 people in. It's going to be absolute insanity. You're not going to actually be able to focus on anything. So I personally, and this is just for me, I would like it to hit about 500 per area. I don't know if they'll get there. I hope they do. I think that would be enough. I think that would be enough for what I would consider a fleet battle. And for me, a fleet battle would really just need to be able to host a Javelin, maybe two, but even a Javelin, let's say you fully crewed it at 8 people or 80 people. That's only 160 people. You still, if you can get up to 400, 500 players, you still have plenty of players for smaller ships, fighters, all that. That would be a insanity on another level there. And I think that's fine. I think that is my idea of a fleet battle. Some people have different ideas, and that's totally fine. Some people want multiple 1,000-player fleet battles. That would be epic. I don't think CIG can get there, personally. Some people are okay with Star Citizen going into a world like Eve where things don't run at real time and all that. I'm not for that either. So, yeah, let me catch back up on a few of the chats. Sorry if I missed it. Tom says, Lurker here, server meshing's your next big green light. Yep, for putting more money into the game. Totally agree. Do you think they'll have a competing aircraft carrier type ship for the Kraken? I do. I think the Liberator is the half step to that. I do think we'll see another carrier, though. I do think we'll see another carrier. Gray Fox says it would be cool if you could refine scrap like split. Well, actually, let me answer that question though on the carrier. I do think we'll get another carrier. I don't think the carrier will be as well armed as the Kraken. I think what you're going to see is a slightly bigger version of the Liberator, essentially. Now, I'm not talking the Super Liberator, which we do have a fleet viewer, but I think you'll see a bigger carrier ship that is actually not very well defended. That's what I think you're going to see. And let me say real quick too. Everyone has to make their own decisions for what they want the milestones to be. I know Starlet, our good Star Jump member Starlet is in chat, and Starlet has a certain idea for how she wanted server meshing to be, and there's concerns that that's not going to happen. And that's totally fine. I think we all have those places that we want the technology to hit. I personally have been working from a place of adjusting my expectations, which was not how I started this journey. That's just where I've landed. So now I've reached a place where I'm okay adjusting my expectations, right? I know Starlet had messaged in one of our admin chats not too long ago about how she, kind of wants to be able to look at the game, maybe how I'm looking at it. And I think what I had to do was start putting my expectations on a sliding scale, right? So, and what does that mean? Well, for server meshing, absolutely it would be great to have all these thousands of players on the server with you for a combat situation, right? However, I don't see myself getting in combat that much. If I am, I'm doing something wrong. I mean, I like combat, don't get me wrong, but I'm more interested in the industrial gameplay loops. I've already said this. Exploration, salvaging, possibly refining, commercial trading, like big commercial shipping trading. So for me, what do I realistically need on the server to simulate an environment that makes that feel cool? Well, to make those industrial gameplay loops cool, I don't know, 200, 300 people on the same area shard as me. I don't know. That seems fine. You know what I mean? So to me, for 90% of my gameplay time in Star Citizen, I think they can easily hit those numbers. I think, I don't want to put words in Starlet's mouth, but I think Starlet has even once said, I mentioned something like that to her, and she said, well, they should be able to get there on the player numbers. However, if you're someone who does want those big fleet battles, like thousands of players, yeah, there's probably some concerns there, on CIG's ability to make that a reality. But you have to really look at what you're trying to get out of this game. I would personally say for Star Citizen that combat shouldn't be your only focus. You should have other gameplay loops because it's an MMO. You should have some other gameplay loops you're in, and then maybe you can adjust that slider of expectations based off those other gameplay loops and not the once a month scenario where a fleet battle occurs. I want to be in a fleet battle. For example, I want to be an engineer on a big ship during a fleet battle. That sounds amazing to me. But I also see it as being something that's going to be semi-rare for me. Catching up a little bit here. Hellwinter says at some point we do hit physical limits of tech, though. Absolutely true. That's something else Starlet has also pointed out. Tom says playing SC is doing something wrong. Enjoyed the live stream. I'll be back again later. Tom, take it easy. Salute to you. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We're having a great chat here, waiting for for 318 not to drop. We got 68 watching in YouTube right now and 24 in Twitch. I really appreciate everyone. Real quick, actually, since I got so many people watching. Couple big things. Star Jump Station will be coming back this Sunday. I will be doing the first giveaway of posters for that. Okay. Let me hold up the poster here. Hopefully, actually, let me go back to my big view. Okay. So this is the poster. Star Jump Fleet Viewer poster. All the ships are to scale. These aren't all the ships. These are just some big ones. If you want to get in on the giveaways, I'm going to be giving away 10 of these this Sunday. All you have to do, very easy. All you have to do is, if you're on Twitch, just hit the follow button. Okay. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, just hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel. That's all you got to do. You don't have to drop any money, no bits, no ender nuggets, no grim pences, nothing. All you have to do is do that. And then what I do is I go into the most recent followers and subscriber list for the last 60 days, and I pull all the previous subscribers and followers who have been active for the last 60 days, who have been active in our chats, and or not just active in the chat, but just watching. And if your name is on there, you're automatically put into the giveaway. Again, I'll be pulling out 10 poster giveaways for Star Jump Station. You actually will be able to get a choice between this poster, which is a smaller cardstock poster, which I'll show you here. It's thick paper. I don't know if you can hear that. Cardstock. And really, really nice, really great print. I don't know how big it is. It's pretty big, though. You can see it here. Goes nice on an office wall. And then I'll also have some big normal size posters, like big posters, but they are a thinner paper. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. People get to decide. No, 318 is not out yet. Dobo, sorry about that. But for anyone who follows or subscribes on either one of the platforms, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. By doing it on both, by the way, you are technically entered in for both, because I'm going to be just pulling all the names. So that's how we're going to do it. And you don't have to worry about missing out. You can ask Ender, how many of these posters do you think I have, Ender? That's a lot. I think I have like 500 of these things. So we're going to be giving out these every Star Jump Station. And then in the month of April, when Ender starts ramping up his stuff for charity, because April is a big charity month for him, we'll be doing a lot of posters as well. I've got a whole bunch of posters set aside just for Ender's April charity streaming. So Almond, all you have to do for the poster, very easy. All you have to do is, if you're watching on YouTube, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel. That's all you got to do, is subscribe to the Star Jump YouTube channel. Boom, you're entered. If you're on Twitch, all you have to do is follow us on Twitch. That's it. You can do it on both, and you are entered both. Entered both times. But yeah, it's really cool. We'll be giving away 10 of these every 2 weeks, I think. Yeah. So done and done. Awesome. Thank you for that. Also, if you haven't watched our latest Star Jump content, we did Star Jump Shipyard. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's getting great reviews by everyone that watches it. And the analytics for that video have been absolutely amazing. I think in 2 days we had hit like 25,000 views on it, which is incredible. More importantly, in 2 days, it had added 600 subscribers to our YouTube channel, which is fantastic. So we see that you all like the shipyard, and we have a lot more planned for that. I can tell you right now that I'm already in pre-production for the next one, which is going to be on the Endeavor, the Misk Endeavor. Ender's going to help me out with that one as well. We're going to have our pre-production meeting here just in a matter of a day or two, but really excited about that. Okay, so ending up my discussion on the fleet, talked a little bit about the Pioneer. Let's see. Thank you everyone for the well wishes on Shipyard. Glad everyone enjoyed it. Last but not least was the Polaris. This was a really fun one because, oops, 1 second. So the Polaris. This was a ship that I really had to go through a bit of a monstrous journey to get. So I was gifted the CCU for that by James, a stormtrooper, great supporter of Star Jump, good friend of VMXEOs on the StarFab team. And James Stormtrooper helped me out with a CCU to a Polaris. I think it was a Hammerhead to Polaris CCU, if I remember correctly, which was good because at the time the Polaris was still limited hull. I upgraded, did a CCU chain without talking to Starlet, which was my first big mistake, and I CCU'd that a bunch of ships up to a Hammerhead and then into the Polaris. Then I looked and I went, oh my gosh, I upgraded a ship that literally had like 6 months of insurance. Can't talk this morning. And I was like, damn it. Now, I'm not one that really chases the LTI thing very hard, but I was still a little bit irritated because I was like, this is a ship that will be in harm's way. It's lightly armored. This is a ship you definitely want your, you definitely want your insurance up to date on. And I was like, man, I really wanted at least 120 month or, 10 year or something. So I filed a concierge report and got to talking to Big T.O., who is one of the concierge people at CIG. Went back and forth. He was trying to help me, but it was a little bit tricky because I had already applied this stuff and they were trying to backpedal it, but they couldn't just give me LTI either because they have a little bit of a policy against that now. And so that me and him were looking at my fleet. Big shout out to Big T.O. for helping me so much get this sorted. And funny enough thing is Big T.O. is actually declined some of my concierge requests. So there's no favoritism or anything. He's definitely declined some of my requests, but he really went above and beyond to try to help me get the Polaris sorted. So my Polaris, actually, let me see if I can bring it up real quick here. Stand by. This is pretty funny. I want to see if it's still this way. And no, everyone, I don't believe 318 is active yet. Sorry. Everyone's still waiting on it. I don't know if I'll get to play it today. Let me look at something here. Let me go to. I'm on my hangar right now. I know y'all can't see it, but I'm going to my my hangar, and I am looking for my Polaris. Okay, so this is really kind of bizarre, but my Polaris has 2 lifetime insurance tags applied to it and 2 120-month insurance tags applied to it. How that is possible, I do not know, but essentially my Polaris is worth or is going to be insured for the equivalent of 2.5 lifetimes, I guess. Yes, Almond, and the Polaris is going into development in April. Don't know if it'll be finished out, but I personally think they're going to finish out the Polaris for flight ready status. I actually really do, and there's a number of reasons why I think that's the case. What else we got? Sam, thank you so much. Almond Butter says, you interested in all Spirit variants then? Intrigued, I think, is probably the more appropriate word. I do really like the Spirits. Nicholas, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I do like all the Spirits from an aesthetic point of view. I think they look really cool. I like all the usage. I'm most interested in the E1. I just think it's really cool to have a little kind of almost like a little private plane, think like a Gulfstream or something type ship in the verse. The C1, look, it's never bad to have a small daily driver cargo ship. Those are things everyone should have. And then a bomber. I don't have a bomber, so seem like a good enough deal. I bought them as a pack. I thought the price for the pack was pretty decent. So yeah, that's the whole reason why I have it. Let's see here. Reese says the weight is on. Yes, the weight is definitely on. John Steele, hope you're well. Do you have any idea when the Percy and Nautilus are going to be worked on? No, I don't. And I have a little bit of bad news about the Nautilus. So I have been talking about the Nautilus for a while. The Nautilus is a ship I bought from Starlet. Let me lower some view qualities here. So the Nautilus is a ship I bought straight from Starlet's hangar. I really wanted the Nautilus. I still really want the Nautilus. Um, however, um, one of the things I was most excited for was that Space Mines were about to go back into development in May. And I was like, well, cool. They haven't announced a Space Mine ship, and these Space Mines in the delivery information specifically say that they're going to be for a mine lane ship. And I was excited because I was thinking, much like with the A2, when they worked on bombs, boom, the A2 came out. So I actually thought the Nautilus was going to go into active production. It's been like this for a while, and all the Nautilus's road blockers were really out of the way. The size 7 guns were done. Drones weren't ready, but they could launch the Nautilus without drones. But the size 7 guns were done, and they were working on space mines. However, as of the last roadmap roundup, the one just this Wednesday, they have retracted work on space mines, and it's off the progress tracker again, unfortunately. I do hope it comes back because I do think space mines would be the perfect toy to play around with in Pyro. So I hope it comes back. Let's see here. Loco the writer says, "Do you think that the Banu Merchantman will be able to fly solo?" So Loco, if you have not watched yesterday's ISC on engineering, you should really give it a watch. What I think that exposes us to is that these ships will be flyable solo if everything goes right for you. If you don't run into any adversaries, if you don't have any technical issues, if you're just flying it from an A to B standpoint, you could probably do it alone. However, if you encounter even the most basic issue, tech issue, part malfunction, component malfunction, pirate, whatever, you're going to want people on your ship. We just saw with the engineering gameplay that, I mean, even engineering, they're separating out into 3 roles: tuner, mechanic, manager, so it's going to be tricky. It's going to be risky to fly a big ship alone. Let's put it that way. Texture says, "What are your speculations on an Apollo release?" Well, they were good for a while. They're real good in yeah, Starlet says, "Be sure to take an emergency flamethrower with you." Yeah, exactly. So I think the outlook is possibly good for the Apollo, specifically for the reason that RSI ships are about to go into production. We already know they're working on the RSI links. We already know the Polaris is going on the progress tracker now. So what that looks like is it looks like we're about to enter a phase of RSI ship production. The Restream bot is spamming you in Twitch. What's it doing? It might just be posting what YouTube chatters are saying, Starlet. I think that's what's happened. Yep. Thank you, Ender. Because I'm dual streaming right now. I'm skirting the line. But what were we talking about? What were we talking about? Remind me, everyone. My brain is slowly frying. Oh, the Apollo. But so we're entering a phase of RSI development, much like we were in a phase of Crusader development and a phase of Drake development the past year. So I think we're about to enter a phase of RSI ship development. John Crew has already stated that when they start doing a ship, they'll usually do other ships of that manufacturer as well, because the artists are already in that manufacturer's design aesthetic mindset. So for example, if you're bringing all your artists on that are really good at doing Drake ships and they're working on the Corsair, well, then you might as well finish out the Vulture and the Cutter and the Mule. So if you notice, last year we got 4 Drake ships. We got the Cutter, actually 5 if you count the Cutlass Steel, Mule, Cutter, and Corsair and Vulture, all in the span of like 18 months. So I think we're going back into a phase of RSI development. So it's looking good for the Apollo. They've already been doing that sort of with the RSI brand. We did their Lynx. They already did the Scorpius. So we're already starting to see that. Yeah, exactly, Starlet. I think that's exactly how it's kind of netting out. Although I think a lot of the bigger RSI ships won't see the light of day until 2024. Um, we'll see. Here's the one thing about the RSI ships, though. They actually do, according to John Crew, have a big library to pull from because the Bengal is RSI, and they said they were going to pull a lot from the Bengal for some of these ships. I know I missed some stuff here. Nicholas, you're about to get a chance to buy the Vulture probably today when it goes on sale if you want to get one. Um, didn't they get the style guide for the Drake down with the Cutter and Vulture? Yeah, they've had the Drake style guide down for quite a while now. They have a lot of Drake parts and pieces. The only Drake ship left to build now is the Kraken. So I actually think the Kraken is a capital ship that they could get done rather quickly, to be totally honest with you. It doesn't require any real crazy tech. The only tech that it needs that they don't have in a PU ship right now is the air car, but they've already got stuff like that in the Bengal for Squadron 42. Nothing else on the ship is crazy unique, so they could build the Kraken. They have all the Drake parts and pieces. So I actually think the Kraken is the easiest capital ship for them to get in production. Let's see here. I'm on Akiko. Sorry if I said that wrong. My eyes are a little rough tonight. I had a rough night of sleep. What's your opinion about the work for the BMM being taken off? Last work ending in November when they talked about maybe delaying it. Yeah, so they have officially delayed that. They have put a pin, as they said, into the Banu Merchantman. Here's the thing. Without the merchant gameplay, the shop gameplay, the BMM does nothing other than move cargo. And I think they'd rather focus on the whole series of ships for that. So it naturally got a pin, and I think they moved that team. That team is then going to move over to the Polaris. That's essentially what's happened. Ken says, I foresee a Polaris with Scorpius or Antares package coming soon. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe for Invictus. Worker says, I wonder if that means Galaxy might be possible. Yeah, I think the Galaxy, I'm actually shocked the Galaxy is not on the progress tracker. I'm shocked that the Polaris went first. But I do think we could see the Galaxy getting picked up. I absolutely do. Here's another thing to remember. It's been stated by the developers on Twitter, and John Crew was just in Montreal, that they're building another ship team in Montreal. So we're going to have 3 ship teams now. It's not going to be just the EU and the US team. We're going to have a Montreal team coming up, which is going to be awesome. Let's see here. Kenda says it gets the Dragonflies good compact mode. Yeah, I agree. Probably can fit more Dragonflies in. Feathers, hope you're well. Hopefully the Vulture will be the loaner for the Reclaimer. My Polaris is Reclaimer shaped for now. Yep. Probably will be. Kraken is basically a mini PO. Absolutely. It's probably the reason I bought it. Mobile space station. Let's see. Yeah, actually, yeah, Ender's right. The Reclaimer's in game. So if you have a Reclaimer, you're going to get the Reclaimer. Starlet says, is the Galaxy in Squadron 42? Maybe that's why the Polaris went first. So Starlet, that's a great point. So the Galaxy, I don't believe, is in Squadron 42, but neither was the Polaris. The Polaris wasn't supposed to be as well. However, the Polaris, actually, I'm going to go to the RSI roadmap here. Stand by. Go into the RSI roadmap. I want to confirm something. Stand by with me, everyone. So here's the key, and I'll show this on my stream. Hopefully you can see this, everyone. So the Polaris is shown. The Polaris is shown to have a Squadron 42 tag. The Polaris is technically in lore was developed after the events of Squadron 42, but I think this means they changed something here, and I think we're going to see a retcon on the Polaris's lore. I think what happened is they found they needed a ship of the Polaris's size and usage in Squadron 42. It might just make a brief appearance. Maybe it's a tease for Chapter 2 or whatever. But it's really interesting that the Polaris has a Squadron 42 tag when we were always told that the Polaris is supposed to be developed after the events of Squadron. But obviously that is no longer true. And you're right. Starlet's exactly right. Lore can be tweaked. Um, Lightstep says they must boost ship output in the pipeline as it's a nice revenue stream for them. It is a nice revenue stream for them. And I think that is what they're doing. They're trying to boost the ship output to catch up on some of these big ships. As a matter of fact, that's what I hope the Montreal team is going to focus on are the large ships. Ray's Guide, which is a YouTube series, did a whole talk about this on how they need to do that. They need to build a ship team that focuses on big ships. And I'm hoping that's what they do, to be totally honest with you. But here's the other thing I'll say. I do not think ship selling is the best way to fund this game in the future. I think they can actually make way more money with a robust and fair, balanced microtransaction path. Meaning, and what I mean by microtransactions is you can buy a microwave for your ship, or a food processor, or sim pods for your ship. You can buy custom paint jobs, which I wish we could just do in game for free, whatever. But I'm telling you right now, while selling ships does sound good, they'd make a shit ton more money microtransactioning this. And let me give you an example. When World of Warcraft put out their first microtransaction, which was that celestial horse, which was uglier than sin, they made, I think, like 25 million in one day selling this stupid horse. Why are microtransactions better for raising funds than a ship? Because if you're selling a $700 ship, or selling a coffee mug for your ship that's only $3, you will sell more of that $3 item. You just will. Yeah, Sparkle Pony, exactly. You are going to make more money selling cheaper things in higher volume. Also, the microtransaction things are easier to make, require less overhead from a company standpoint. You can put your interns on this shit. You can take your interns and tell them to make a series of T-shirts for the game. You might microtransaction them. Fish for your fish tank and your 600i. Whatever. That is the path forward for raising money in this. You think 500 million is a lot of money? It is, but it's. Let's see. Starlet says large money ships are kind of a bad look for the project for some people. Starlet, I actually fully agree with you on that. I think every time there is a negative article on Star Citizen, they highlight exactly that. So Starlet's 100% correct there. The $1,400 ships, they are a bad look for the game in terms of the game still being in the alpha state it is. But, and again, if they could switch over to more of a microtransaction focused thing, still do the ship purchase thing, but allow you to, get to a point in the game cycle, hopefully when we get to beta, because I'm hoping beta will be persistence from beta to full release, but get to where we can start earning these ships in game from a permanent standpoint, where you earn it in game, it then goes in your hangar. That will be a big moment in Star Citizen. Ken says, when are you joining the cult of the Endeavor, Grim? Science, medical, component overhauling, drug manufacturing, just saying. So I do own an Endeavor master set in buyback. I like the idea of the Endeavor. I just think it's going to be a long time before we see it. And I think the Endeavor has to go through a lot of redesign, not just in normal ship redesign terms, but in module redesign. There's a lot of stuff there. So I guess you could say I am part of the cult of the Endeavor strictly from I love everything that it brings to bear. But it's so far off that I don't want to even plan for it right now. But that's a great question. By the way, we have 86 people in the YouTube chat right now and 27 in Twitch. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out. Just a reminder, if you follow the Twitch channel or you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and do that today, you are automatically entered in to win. We're going to be giving away 10 of these Fleet Viewer posters. I'll be giving these away this Sunday. I'll be doing 10, and I'll be doing 10 of these posters this Sunday, and then 2 weeks later I'll do another 10. And yeah, so we don't sell the posters; they're giveaway only. That is a CIG thing. So yeah. Hope you all follow or subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Redstone, for that follow. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for your follows and stuff. But yeah, it's a really cool poster. We had them at the Equinox event, and they were a big hit. So I have like 500 of these things. We'll be giving out a lot of them through the month of April as well for Ender's charity streams. So what else we got here? Uh, most of it in the game avoiding cash out vibes. So Lightstep, to hit your question real quick, microtransactions are a balance, right? So for example, you want microtransactions to not feel predatory, but I actually think even the most shady microtransactions will feel better than $1,400 capital ships from a PR perspective. So I really agree with Starlet on that point. Also, microtransactions, again, it feels inconsequential, but it's not even just price versus volume. It's internal overhead as well. So the amount of overhead it's required to build a ship like the Polaris, for example, is a lot, right? You're going to have a big team on it working for, like John Cruz said, a year to 2 years. That's a lot of overhead to create the funds you're raising from that. Versus a microtransaction that you put your interns on, you create some cool little microtransaction things, and they shouldn't be predatory. They should be stuff that's a little bit special, right? So we all know we're going to be able to do our own paint jobs on our ships at some point by changing the primary and secondary, possibly tertiary colors on the ship. 3 color categories. VMXEO knows this well. However, it would be really cool to get custom liveries for transaction money. So what do I mean by custom livery? I mean by like a Microtech livery that actually has Microtech logos and stuff on it. You know what I mean? So again, it is a in Lightstep, to what you're saying, Hook. Yeah, sorry, this is to Hook. It is subjective. Some people do prefer macro transactions and do not like microtransactions, and that's totally fine. But what I'm saying is just that there's going to be a lot more people that spend $3 versus 700, regardless of which path you fall on. And so that's really the path forward, in my opinion, for CIG. Here's the other thing. I don't think they'll ever do that, but I think a subscription model to the MMO side of things would be fine too. I don't think it should be WoW level, but I think it should. But like if there was like a $5 a month subscription level to Star Citizen, I don't think people would be against that. I'm not even necessarily rallying for that. I know a lot of people immediately balk when discussion of subscriptions comes up. But to be really honest with you, it wouldn't be a bad idea. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Just make it very easy for you to pause your subscription when you want, right? And they have this in WoW. It's been great. I've been subscribed to WoW for years and years and years. I paused it every now and then. And for a live service game that's constantly pushing stuff, I think they could do that, and that would be fair. Not right now, by the way. Not right now. They're still too broken in alpha for that to be fair and not predatory. I'm talking about when the game gets a little bit more developed. I could see that really being something they should look into. Yeah, so a couple people in chat already saying they prefer subscription. Agree with you about that. Would love a subscription model. Yeah, agreed. And look, I am the first one to say, and Hook, yeah, you're right. I subscribe to CIG as well. So some of us are already doing that. But I agree that I'm actually the first to say that the $15 a month for WoW, I think is too high for a game as old as WoW. But it doesn't need to be that high. $5 a month would be, I think, all they need to do. Yeah, Lightstep. The money I've spent on WoW over 10 years, I don't even want to know. I truly don't even want to know, because I probably would put my Star Citizen cost to shame. Sure. So Stop and Sniffer says alpha backers would get to play for free. I'd be fine with that too. Some sort of bonus to alpha, to people that play during alpha. So, I agree with Ender. Alpha WoW would be better at 8 to 10. I think a $7.99 subscription fee a month would really be great for WoW. I'm actually shocked they haven't done it. What else have we missed here? WoW sub longer. I've had an equity sub for like 23 years. I love the recent Kraken show. What ship is next? So I've talked about this a few times. Duanakio. We'll be doing the Endeavor next. The Endeavor is the next ship for Shipyard. Gonna have some really cool visuals. I'm actually working on some very, very unique visuals for the Endeavor one. So if you're a fan of the Endeavor episode of Shipyard is going to have a ton of visuals that have not been seen before. I'm going to clear my canvas real quick. Clear my canvas. I will add the, we'll be focusing on the Endeavor as shown here. We'll focus on all of its modules. We're going to go through everything. Let's see here. A lot of people in chat. Really great to see everyone hanging out with us. Oh, Ken, I do want to answer that question. You surprised I don't have a Caterpillar being a Drake fan? I know. A little bit of unloyalty there. I do like the Caterpillar, and if the Caterpillar ever does become the modular ship they said it would be, I will get one for sure, because I really like the Caterpillar, and I love that it fits on the Kraken's decks. So, that'll happen. Let's see here. And by the way, everyone, I am not saying that CIG should do a subscription model. I know a lot of people are salty over CIG taking too much of their money already. What I am saying is that in lieu of selling ships, I would be okay with a subscription model. Or in lieu of selling ships in a subscription model, I would be all for microtransactions, meaning cosmetic stuff, props for your ship, even things like, and I've talked about this a lot in the past, but being able to buy a tier 3 med bed, so the same med bed that's on like a Cuddy Red, being able to buy a tier 3 med bed and put that in any ship as long as you have the cargo grid coordinates available for it. Things like that, I would totally pay the money for it. Thank you, Dua Nikio, and thank you, Shifting Gears. Yeah, the Endeavor episode is going to be really special. Planning a lot of really unique stuff for that, especially because it's such an old concept and there's not a lot of visuals for it. I really want to do something kind of fun and special for that. Let's see here. Redstone says, will we ever see AI gunners or NPCs for in ships so we can use big ships like the Hammerhead without needing entire place? Yes, you are going to get that. By the way, I saw someone ask what the Endeavor was. The Endeavor is a huge modular capital ship that can fit all these different modules you see here on it to play different roles. You could be a space farmer, you can run a hospital ship, you can have a science lab, parts tuner, all kinds of stuff. That's what the Endeavor is. Go to our YouTube channel if you're probably watching on YouTube. We have a Star Jump Station episode on the Endeavor. Go watch that. You'll learn all about the Endeavor. We deep dive it pretty hard. To answer your question, Redstone, yes, NPC crews will be a thing, and not only NPC crews, but you're also going to be able to get computer blades for your ships. As a matter of fact, I think computer blades will come before NPC crews, and the computer blades are blades that you're going to be able to put into the computers of your ship. This is why when you go to the RSI Spectrum page, it lists how many computers a ship has. You'll be able to put those blades in, and those blades will be able to control various aspects of your ship, primarily turrets. So yes, absolutely. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, Lightstep says I'd pay money right now for ladders, storage boxes. Absolutely, stuff like that. Gurneys, hover gurneys. I mean, all kinds of stuff they could microtransaction. And you should be able to get that stuff in game too, but you should also be able to microtransaction. Play D34D says, did the Antares change your interdiction fleet? I'll say this about the Antares. I need to look more into it. I haven't done a lot of looking at the Antares because it just hasn't really interested me. But on Fleet Builders, which is another show me and Ender do, I could see the Antares will start making frequent appearances in my fleets for sure. I'm a little delayed in chat, everyone, so bear with me. Ken Dan says, technically the Cutlass Red isn't required for the Endeavor hangar anymore with the C8R now available. Absolutely, Ken Dan, you bring up a great point. The Endeavor is currently spec'd at 200 meters. It would need to grow to be able to fit the two Cutty Reds, but I fully agree with you that the C8R is actually a better fit for it. I would imagine the Endeavor will grow. I think it will grow to about 250 meters, if I had to guess. Kelsar Prime says, what happened to the larger handheld tractor beam? Larger handheld tractor beam. I think it's coming. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that come with the physicalized cargo missions that are coming, where we're loading bigger things. I think we're going to see a larger handheld tractor beam that lifts bigger boxes. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. Sorry, catching up. We already sort of have NPC crews. If you bar an AI ship like the Caterpillar or Starfarer. Yeah, Waffles, exactly. Or people that have stolen the Idris with its turrets that auto-man. That's essentially what you're going to be able to do. And what those computer blades are going to do is you're going to be able to set those computer blades to different modes, right? So one's going to be passive, one's going to be off, one's going to be target only people that shoot at you. Some are going to be able to target any hostile ship in the area. So they'll probably have different states. We actually heard them talk about states on the engineering ISC yesterday, and I think that's what we're gonna see ultimately. Let's see here. By the way, thank you everyone for the follows. Waffle just followed. Thank you so much. Gotten a lot of follows. Let me list off a few of those. We've had Kraken follow over on Twitch. We've had Kraken, Shadow, Wolf Eyes, Redstone King, Hook, and Waffle Insanity follow. Thank you all so much. Again, remember, if you follow on Twitch or you subscribe on YouTube, you're automatically entered in for that poster giveaway. If you're already a longtime subscriber or follower to the channel, don't worry. Just being active in the last 60 days in chat, even lurking, I'm able to pull that data and I know who you are and you're entered in. So no worries. And we're going to be giving out a ton of these things. So trust me, you're going to have a ton of opportunities to win these, both from me and my shows, as well as via Ender during the month of April when he's pushing a lot of charity streaming stuff. So 100%. By the way, big shout out to everyone joining us again today. Really appreciate it. We're pulling great numbers for a daytime stream like this. Got 83 watching on YouTube, and we have 38 watching on Twitch. That's absolutely amazing. Really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much. Let's see here. What else do we got? Oh, real quick, to everyone wondering, and Starjump Fleet Viewer, and I believe Starlet's still in chat. Starlet, if you're there, you might can confirm this. If 318 goes live today, and if the Scorpius Antares is listed as for sale today, then we will update Fleet Viewer, and the Antares will be going into Fleet Viewer, as well as a special little Idris, a cool little Idris thing will be coming to Fleet Viewer. All right, real quick here. Starry, stand by, everyone. Starlight confirms that. Yep, sure. No, as long as no surprises come our way. As soon as the store goes live for the Antares, we will add it to Fleet Viewer. The reason we do that is because it is directly linked via SKU into Hangar Link into your hangar and all that. And Starlet knows all that. Starlet's way smarter than me if y'all haven't figured that out yet. That's when we add ships. We don't add them before. Redstone King says, I'm kind of curious, what's the biggest player controllable concept ship currently in the making? Player controllable or player ownable? If it's player ownable, it is the Aegis Javelin. If it's the biggest player controllable, we have heard that the Bengal will be player controllable, but it will be a persistent thing in the PU that's just there. I still primarily look at the Javelin as the end-all be-all. It is the biggest player-ownable ship in the game. This is not changed. This is why I'm not one of those people that thinks the Endeavor is going to grow to like 500 meters long. The Endeavor will be smaller than the Javelin. It has no reason to be any bigger. The Javelin was just confirmed by John Crew as recently as like a year and a half ago is still being the biggest player ownable ship in the game. Griffin Gaming's in chat. Griff, hope you're well, buddy. I will be on Soul Citizens sometime this month. I think on the 19th. I need to look again. They're going to be having an episode all about the Drake Kraken. So, of course, I will be there. Drake Kraken is my favorite ship. So, I absolutely will be there and I have a lot to talk about. And a big shout out to the Soul Citizens in general. They always bring me on, and I really appreciate that. You know, there's a lot of content creators out there. I don't get many calls to be on shows, but it's really cool. The Soul Citizens always keeps Star Jump members in mind. And, you know, because I do feel between myself, VMXEO, Starlet, Ender, I do really think we understand a lot about this game because we're constantly analyzing it for our own content. You know, for Fleet Viewer, me and VMXEO and Starlet, I mean, we are intimately knowledgeable of every single Star Citizen ship because we've looked at them a lot, working on them for Fleet Viewer. So it's really great that Soul Citizens gives us another platform to be part of and to kind of get our thoughts and stuff out there. So huge thanks to the Soul Citizens. They're also just a really cool group of people that is very gracious to us and stuff. So Waffles over on YouTube asks, what is Soul Citizen? Soul Citizen is a Star Citizen community and content creation group, but essentially they're a community. Go check them out. They're really amazing. What I like about Soul Citizens, they have a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel. They stream all the time. I usually try to catch their Sunday shows. They have a really great positive community, and that's the great thing about them, Waffles. They have a really great positive community. And even when they are critical of the game, they try to frame it in a positive way in terms of like, okay, we have a problem with this, but here's how maybe they could go about fixing it or something. There's always a positive there, and I really like that. Another great content creator that does that I'm really big fan of is Ray's Guide on YouTube. Again, he puts out stuff that he think has an issue with, and then says how they could fix it, and I like that frame of reference when talking about this project personally. Let's see here. Yes, absolutely, John. The bigger ship, the more engineers you're definitely going to need. Quelsar Prime says, do you think they will ever change the Gamma to look like the design shown on the Pledge store? I'm assuming you're talking about the Mustang. I would imagine the Mustang art you're talking about on the Pledge store is just old concept art. I really wish they would go through and clean out all the old concept art, actually. That's something I wish they'd do. Kyle says, question, Execute said the Dragonfly Bay can be used for any snub, not just the Dragonfly. Is he correct? Yes, he's correct. That is true. It can be. It can be used. It's called the Dragonfly Bay, but they have hinted and said things in the past that it could really, they could really host any vehicle like that or of that size. Let's see, shifting gears. Does Starhanger keep track of popular ships? Do you get data from Starhanger? Just curious to know. We don't get data from Starhanger, no. From Fleet Viewer, if you're talking about Fleet Viewer specifically, because Starhanger is a whole other thing. Starhanger is a gray market site. But from Fleet Viewer, I don't know if we get data. Starlet would have to look into that. I don't know if we get data for which ship is the most spawned in Fleet Viewer. That'd be really cool. Starlet says we don't, but be interesting to know. Let's see. McD says, will the upcoming changes to the files PK4 permanently break StarFab, or will it be able to be updated without getting in trouble with CIG? That is a VMXEO question. I do not know. I will also say, remember how I said Starlet is smarter than me? I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. VMXEO is also smarter than me. So that is a VMXEO question. You're going to have to ask the smart people in Star Jump. Me and Ender are on the other side of Star Jump. We're the dumb side of Star Jump. I love you, Ender. Don't get mad at me. We're on the dumb side of Star Jump, okay? We make things happen the best we can, but we're not the smart ones, okay? We leave that to VMXEO and Starlet to figure out. Ender says, "Don't let put me." You know, Ender plays a very important role in Star Citizen, or in Star Citizen, of course, but in Star Jump. Let me explain Ender's role in Star Jump. Ender is very much like me. He's an ideas guy. He is constantly thinking of cool stuff for us to do, um, and ways to do it. And while some of the technical stuff and some of the 3D modeling and stuff is not his forte, that's not really what he does. He doesn't have to. Star Jump was already always envisioned to be a group that just creates stuff. And our goal is to create unique stuff, right? With a little bit of a unique signature to it. Um, so Ender helps us do that. Ender also manages our communities. He manages Discord. He is a mod on all the channels. He does his own streaming. But I think that, and he's also the hype man. But the thing I think that Ender does for Star Jump that is by far the most important thing he does is Ender is really the he's our charity guy. He's the one running all the charity initiatives through Star Jump Guardians. And when I say running them, he's not just running them. He is the charity initiative. He is the one doing all of that. It's pretty hands off from me and the rest of Star Jump. He really heads that up, and he puts a lot of effort into that and has made a lot of sacrifices to get that stuff done, and that requires a big salute. So we always appreciate it. I met Ender through gaming 20 odd years ago, so we've known each other a lot. This is not our first community creation thing. We've done stuff in World of Warcraft. We've done stuff in Arma 3. And Ender is very much the bard. I like that, Kavatha. Ender is the bard. Let's see here. Kendra says, when Pyro releases, do you think there's a chance they might release the Kraken soon after? Possibly. I don't know if it'll be released, though, in the way that you're thinking. I could see the Kraken being released as an exterior ship that we battle or something in Pyro, much like the Idris is in Xenothreat. I could see it being an exterior thing with remote turrets. In terms of interior, I don't really know when they're going to do it. Here's what I will say about it. I do think we need some carriers in game. It's definitely when we get Pyro, and especially when we get Nyx. They're really, really big systems. I think Nyx is like 29 AU or something. It's huge. We're going to need carriers. And I think the Kraken is actually the easiest one to make, believe it or not. The exterior model is not only done, but is also game optimized. And that's actually was said by John Crew. And they've already got such a big toolkit for the Drake aesthetic that I think the Kraken could be built out rather quickly. Shifting gears. I meant Fleet Viewer. Yeah, my bad. No worries. No worries. John Flick says, I would love it if you guys did a segment when you talk about realistic ship expectations when they come out. Yeah. I mean, we like to speculate. I'm a big speculator, obviously. But at the same time, I want to make sure I don't overpromise or make someone think something's coming out and it's not. But, you'll always find me speculating. Starlet says, what will be in Nyx that fills the space beyond that asteroid? That's a great question, Starlet. I think it is where we could see some other smaller asteroid-type stations, but I think it's going to be kind of an empty system. I hope that CIG doesn't feel that every system has to be filled out. If they're going to get through all these damn systems they have planned, some of these are just going to have to get out. And if in lore, if it's supposed to be an empty system, then let it be an empty system. I'm fine with that. Maybe that's a good place to take your fleet and get ready for an attack on Pyro. You know what I mean? Kelsar is looking forward to the Liberator. I am too. I think it's going to be a pretty cool ship. I don't own it, but I do think it's going to be a nifty little ship. Liberator. I spelled it wrong. Yep. Here's our Liberator. Let's see here. Question. Do you think the Orion will come after Pyro or any later systems? I don't know about that. They had the Orion up by the concept team to be reconcepted, though. I think it's probably going to be minor reconcepts, but then it was taken down. So I think it's still going to be a while for the Orion. I think it's going to be, well, it's hard to say. it probably needs to get its butt back on the concept team's progress tracker section, because apparently they do need to do some work to it. So in that vein, I think it's going to be a while. In the same vein, we know that they're going to be focusing on RSI ships for a while, so maybe they'll circle around to it. Be interesting to see. But here's the thing: we also know there is another RSI mining ship coming. Remember, they talked about that. So that's like a smaller one in between the Orion and Mole. So we're still due to hear about that one. Doing Akia says, won't the whole DNE be able to transport ships? Supposedly they're able to transport ships, but we haven't heard anything about that except for some really old concept art, I think. Tavofta says, empty system sounds like a good place to hide away my ships. That's what I want it to be for. I don't think that every system needs to be as fully developed as some people think. I think some systems can be mostly empty. You know, asteroid base here, for some derelicts, some good mining opportunities, maybe a burnt out planet. We don't need a lot in all of them. AZ, hi, a long time no see. It has been a long time. I hope you're well. Salute to you. Waffle says, questions. Why do you think CIG has so many issues with the Caterpillar? Is it the only modular ship and one of the oldest things? So I think the biggest issue there is that the Caterpillar is just an old ship and needs to get brought up to code. It just has a lot of probably old tech in it, and that just needs to happen. So yeah, hold on one second, everyone. Just a minute. Anyway, yes, I think it just needs to be worked on and brought up to code. So everyone, it's getting a little long in the tooth. I'm about to be going to lunch with my wonderful wife. So let me switch back here. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me. Again, we had a tremendous amount of people show up today. I hope 318 comes out for you all soon so you can go check it out. But we had up to 85 on YouTube and up to 40 in Twitch. That's absolutely incredible. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube. You're automatically entered to win this poster. I'll be giving out 10 of those this Sunday. 10 of these this Sunday will be given out. All you have to do is subscribe or follow. If you've already subscribed or follow, all you have to do is be active in the last 60 days in either one of the chats. That's going to be about it. I am going to run off to lunch. Everyone have a great time. I hope 318 drops for you soon. It's been great having everyone here. Ender, Starlet, VMXEO, all my fellow Star Jumpers in chat. Appreciate it. Salute to you. And let's see, is there anyone I can raid? Let's look for people to raid. We're going to raid. I'm going to send you all over to Salty Mike. And I'll start that now. Everyone, have a great time. Talk to you very soon. Remember, don't forget to enter the contest, and don't forget Star Jump Station this Sunday. That's going to be it. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Enjoy 318 when it launches.